But even if you're just dogs and sleds, it's already complicated enough. I mean, I have walked on a glacier and it's like, oh, I must have gone half a mile. Oh, it's been 10 feet. Imagine if you're pulling a sled behind you. Then you add airships to this.
Right.
For everyone listening, what are airships like around this time that the book is set? Because everyone's going to think, okay, airship, it's a Zeppelin. It's not that simple. What were the airships able to do? What do they look like around this time?
Yeah, that's really interesting because it's true that when people think of airships, they think of the Goodyear blimp or the Hindenburg, most likely. You know, Walter Wellman, who we'll get to, who was the first who tried to fly to the North Pole in an airship. This was in 1906 and 7. Basically, airships were a slightly more complicated hot air balloon. They were essentially 185-foot, Wellman's America was an 185-foot blimp filled with 274,000 cubic feet of flammable hydrogen. And they attached to that a 75 horsepower motor. So, I mean, essentially like a small boat motor attached to this gigantic dirigible with very little navigational or steering capabilities. And so in the earliest times that I write about, they were quite rudimentary and experimental. Now, the advances in the airship came very quickly so that as the book progresses in the post-World War I era, when Amundsen and Nobile get into the fray, there have been significant developments in terms of more rigid frames in the airships and also more powerful motors and better steering capabilities. But it's true, when Wellman was attempting this, I sort of liken it to the first astronauts, essentially, or modern day astronauts, because they're trying to do something that's never been done before. And the other thing I wanted to mention was that during the time that Wellman was beginning his first attempts, this is right on the heels of the Wright brothers doing their first test flights. And so you've got this question of whether the airship or the airplane is going to rule the skies in terms of human travel in the air. And so it was a very, very exciting time in aviation history and in history in general.